All right, Harry. Tonight we're in the chapter of love. It's in First Corinthians chapter 13. It says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. It's a beautiful chapter, but what are your thoughts on these first three verses?
Yeah, so this like all the things we can do and give to have love, to give love, and so on. Anyways, interesting. The Greeks have four different terms within the word love. Is this chapter about romantic love?
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
No, that's not what it's about. So, what kind of love is it talking about?
A godly love, I would say. Is that fair to say?
And brotherly love. So that's those two. Like, and it's about that. So, what's the opposite to love?
Well, most people would assume that it would be hate, but what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like in what we're experiencing more than hatred in the Christian faith is just arrogance.
Mm.
It's have you ever pulled the arrogant card yourself?
Oh, I've been arrogant so many. Actually, I remember someone had to gently rebuke me, and they said to me, "They said, Justin, you know, arrogance is not of love, right?" And I got hit by like a train moment, right? And I sat there and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I am actually being arrogant." And I remember that day, and it was really a big blessing, actually.
Yeah, and if somebody doesn't share our theology, instead of just kind of
Gen-
loving them, we're just find a way of slamming them and stuff like that, and that is so not right, not
mm,
Christian. It says, well, just says, where'd you get that idea from, or whatever, go from there.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly. It's
John
kind of
4.
like
Yeah,
this, Harry, where people like they do stuff like this. So, like if someone disagrees with them, they'll laugh at them, right? Instead of just showing them
yeah.
love and kindness and saying, "Hey, let's dive into this a little deeper, or figure out where we're both going wrong on this aspect, and try to figure this out." And in a more loving approach, instead, we tend to go to the arrogant way.
Yeah. In John 4, we have the story of the Samaritan woman at the well. And so, what was her religion?
She was a Samaritan, as you just said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, did Jesus slam her for that?
No, what did he say? He said, "You worship what you do not know."
Right. That's pretty gentle. And did
Hmm.
that work?
Yeah, she ended up bringing the whole town to him.
Yeah. 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 So, that worked well. What religion were the Pharisees?
They were a part of Judaism, or the center, the
Yeah.
core there. Yeah.
So, did Jesus slam them for their religion?
Well, he not their religion aspect, but their
Oh,
traditions and their hypocrisy, and putting burdens on people, like treating people. Actually, he was slamming their arrogance when we really
that's
think
right.
about it.
That's right. Arrogance and hypocrisy, what he slammed them for. And did they get the message?
No, they didn't.
No. And what did they do with Jesus?
Well, they ended up crucifying him.
Yeah. Would the Samaritans have done that?
No, they didn't. Right?
No.
They were grateful and gratitude over this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So have you, yeah. So in the Christian faith, we do have struggles with that. If people have the wrong theology, bam, the wrong
Mhm.
Bible, we slam them. The wrong baptism, we slam them. And interestingly, something I find interesting is many Christians, when persecuted for their faith, feel that this means they're doing God's will. They are often just arrogant and mean, and it's really sad. Like it's not how it's not their faith that's being slammed, it's their approach that's being slammed. I believe a Jesus Christian exudes love for one and all. They keep themselves to a high standard and are quite willing to cut others some slack. They're truly lovely people. And it
Mhm.
was really interesting on Paul's journeys, even in different cities he was in. One time there was a riot in the city, and they were looking for Paul. They wanted to drag him into the forum. And but the city fathers, they sent word to Paul. He says, "Oh, Paul," he says, "don't come here." He says, "We'll get this handled." They were, even the fathers, even the city governors, they knew Paul and they loved him and they kept him from getting, they said, didn't want him there, didn't want more troubles. And even when Paul was on a prison ship going to Rome, they stopped for a day here and a week there, and to accommodate Paul, the governor, that I mean, the centurion that was on the ship, he made all kinds of exceptions for Paul, just and so there was, Paul was really, and even when he got to Rome, he was still in prison, but he had house arrest for 2 years. I mean, why did that? Of course, part of it is God's will, but part of it is that Paul was
Loving.
loving, yeah, like of course he was true and straight, like when he was explaining to the Jews in the cities he went to that Jesus was the culmination of the Jewish faith. Some of them didn't want to believe that, and they got angry with him and threw the books at him and so on. But but in the meantime, he tried gently to explain to them how wonderful that they had a savior, a Messiah now, and how wonderful this was. They just weren't willing for it, but he had a nice, gentle approach. He always did that, and really, the chapter of love. That's always the key. Do you want to finish with verse 13?
Yeah, it says this, and now these three remain, both faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. And isn't that the truth?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks a lot for this, Harry.